Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. The old commander's grandson was kidnapped in broad daylight by human traffickers. That same day, my husband Ryan, who was the company commander on duty, was too busy brewing herbal medicine for his cousin Lily to even care. I didn't send anyone to go find him. Instead, I threw myself at the kidnappers, grabbing onto their arms with everything I had. I took several knife wounds, flesh tearing open, blood soaking through my clothes. In my previous life, I had panicked and screamed for Ryan. He gritted his teeth, turned around, and managed to snatch the child back. Because of that, the old commander, being the top authority, was furious, and Lily died that same day from a severe fever. Ryan gently comforted me, saying, "It's all over now." But on the day I gave birth, he locked me in a room under some excuse and stabbed me 20 times. I lay there watching the blood pour beneath me like a river, unable to move, unable to speak. In the moment before death, I saw the twisted and vicious look on his face. "If you hadn't staged that fake kidnapping," he sneered, "how would Lily have died? It was your damn jealousy that killed her. Do you even know how much pain she was in when she died? And now she's gone with my baby too. Both lives lost because of you. You deserve to feel what she felt. You and that bastard baby can rot in hell." Then I opened my eyes and found myself back on the day the old commander's grandson was kidnapped. A metallic taste filled my mouth as blood spilled out and splattered onto a pair of ragged cloth shoes. My neck was being tightly restrained. I looked around and saw a filthy, messy room. I had returned, reborn to the very day I once chose to die 3 years ago. I yanked my hand free and slapped at the man's grip, Li Chong the trafficker, but I was too weak to budge him. An itch, seeing me still struggling, Li Chong grabbed my hair and slammed my head against the ground repeatedly, his face dark with rage. "Why the hell did you mess up my deal? Couldn't you just stick to teaching like a good girl? Mind your own business next time. I'm telling you, your worthless life ends here." Footsteps sounded behind him. Li Chang's cousin, Joe Carter, walked in with a disgusting grin. "She's going to die anyway. Might as well let me have some fun first. I've never slept with a commander's woman." Li Chang frowned. "You pig-brained idiot." But Joe kept begging and pestering until Li Chang gave in. "Fine, but make it quick. Then get out and keep watch." Joe rubbed his hands eagerly and threw himself on top of me. His face was greasy and full of moles, and the stench on him made me gag. But I didn't flinch. Instead, I forced a shaky smile. "Can we not do this in front of the child? Maybe take it somewhere else." Next to me was little Ethan Carter, the old commander's grandson. His hands were tied tightly behind his back, and his body trembled with fear. "What a pain," Joe muttered, rolling his eyes before dragging me into the pitch-black room next door. It was then that what I'd learned while living. Finally, the trick to untying rope knots came in handy. The moment Joe turned his back, I grabbed a wooden stick and smashed it over his head. He cursed in pain, then collapsed, losing consciousness within seconds. In my previous life, I'd used that chance to run, but I was afraid Ryan might get in trouble at work, so I begged someone to go bring him back. I never imagined that decision would lead to Lily's unexpected death. Ryan, heartless and cruel, had enjoyed all the rewards of promotions and success on the surface while secretly blaming everything on me. In the end, he made sure both me and my child died with no remains left behind. This time, I won't let history repeat itself. No matter how dangerous it gets, I'll save Ethan with my own hands. My heart pounded in my chest. Joe's screams had already made Liang suspicious. Gripping the stick tightly, I tiptoed behind the door. When I saw his back, I didn't hesitate. I raised the stick and slammed it down. Liang spun around in rage, snatching the stick from my hands and slapping me hard across the face again and again. Blood poured down my cheeks and onto my clothes. My body collapsed, dazed, onto the ground. I watched helplessly as he turned toward Ethan, picked him up, and prepared to leave. Gritting my teeth, I staggered to my feet and lunged forward, grabbing his wrist tightly. "Let him go." Liang's fury exploded. He raised his leg and kicked me in the stomach. Still trying to stop me, my entire body was racked with pain. I curled into a ball, enduring his kicks and punches. Blood bubbled from my lips as I coughed again and again. My swollen face throbbed from the blows. With a sneer, he spit on me and turned to leave. Watching his back, I forced myself through the agony, picked up the stick one more time, and used the last of my strength to strike him over the head. Liang lost it. He pulled a knife from his pocket and stabbed it straight into my stomach. You want to die? Fine, I'll send you there myself. Liang snarled as he began stabbing me over and over again in the arms and thighs. Deep gashes tore open my belly, blood pouring freely. My mind spun into chaos, barely able to hold on. All I could do was cling to Ethan, repeating over and over, "The boy is here, Ethan's here." As the sound of shouting filled the room, my strength gave out and everything went dark. In the darkness, I saw Ryan again, cold-faced, locking me in a woodshed. Without hesitation, he drove a sharp knife into my stomach. "If you hadn't staged that fake kidnapping," he said with venom, "how would Lily have died? It was your damn jealousy that killed her. Do you have any idea how much pain she was in when she died? She was pregnant. Both her and the baby died because of you. You should know exactly how much she suffered. You and that bastard child of yours can spend eternity repenting in hell." Crimson red overwhelmed my body like a tidal wave. I watched helplessly as my newborn baby stopped breathing in front of my eyes. "No!" I screamed in agony. I woke up with a cry that tore from deep in my chest. My breathing was ragged, my heart racing. The hospital room door slammed open. Little Ethan ran in and threw himself into my arms. "Miss Taylor, you're finally awake," he sobbed, his face streaked with tears and mucus, eyes full of worry. Behind him stood the old commander, General Carter. He looked at me sharply, his presence dignified and commanding. His narrow eyes carried a cold glint of suspicion. "Miss Taylor," he said in a low voice, "thank you for reacting in time." His tone made it clear he didn't fully believe this was just coincidence. After all, what were the odds that I just happened to stumble upon traffickers and get dragged onto the same vehicle, only to risk my life to save his grandson? In my previous life, the general had launched a full investigation before awarding Ryan a medal. That honor propelled Ryan's military career, and within record time he rose to command. A knock came at the door. After getting permission, a soldier entered with a salute, handing over a few papers and speaking quietly. The general's imposing presence gradually eased as he read. I knew what was in those papers, my background and the full report of what had happened. "If you ever need anything," the general said, "don't hesitate to ask me. I can also help with Ryan." Today's events had been a major incident. As the company commander on duty, Ryan had left his post without permission. There was no doubt he would lose the job he once took such pride in. Hearing the general's words, I understood he was giving Ryan a chance. I shook my head. "Ethan is my student," I said firmly. Protecting him was the right thing to do. I had no other motives. The general's eyes lit with appreciation. Even his usually stern face softened into a hint of a smile. Suddenly, a stabbing pain shot through my whole body. I cried out involuntarily as the white bandages around my wounds turned crimson again. By the time the doctor came to change the dressings, my forehead was soaked with cold sweat. The general called over a guard. "Go get Ryan. It's late, his wife's missing, and he's not even looking for her." He slammed a white porcelain teacup down on the table. "Useless," he roared. I hurriedly tried to stop him, forcing myself upright. "Don't." But before I could finish, the door burst open. There stood Ryan and behind him my cousin Lily Jiang. They must have crossed paths with the general's group as they were being ushered out. Ryan studied their retreating backs carefully, still puzzled, even after they were out of sight. "Cousin, are you okay?" Lily said as she rushed to my side. "It's all my fault. I caught a little cold. Otherwise, Ryan would have saved you right away." Her face was pale, her eyes red. She hugged me tightly but pressed directly on my fresh wound. I screamed from the pain and shoved her away. "Sis, it's okay if you blame me," she murmured, then cast a scornful glance at Ryan. She quickly ran back to him and said in a syrupy tone, "It's not your fault. Don't be upset. I'll apologize. Zay for making her mad." Then she turned to me and added gently, "Come on, sis, you're the older one. Let her have her way." The familiarity of that line made me scoff quietly because I was her older cousin. I had been forced to swallow countless injustices. Everything she liked, I had to give up without question. After my parents died in a mining accident, it was my uncle's family who took me in. And I quickly learned that if I wanted to survive in that house, I had to keep Lily happy. Otherwise, the only things waiting for me were harsher insults and beatings. Even my marriage to Ryan only happened because Lily Jiang thought his family background was beneath her. It was like a favor. She didn't want him, so she threw him my way. But once Ryan became a company commander, everything changed. In my previous life, the two of them had already gotten involved long before I found out. Lily would mock me openly and belittle me behind my back, acting as though I was pitiful. With Ryan constantly telling me I was overthinking things, I actually believed I was the one in the wrong for being too petty and suspicious. Whatever Lily wanted, I gave her willingly, convinced I owed it to her. But the truth was they had already developed feelings for each other long ago. And Ryan had always cared more about her than he ever did about me. I didn't even look at him now, I just spoke coldly. I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I be the one to apologize? If you feel so bad for her, then you do it. My blunt words left Ryan stunned for a moment, and then he frowned. What the hell are you talking about? This whole thing was your fault. If you hadn't chased after them and made such a big scene, I would have snuck out for a bit, and no one would have known. Do you have any idea what your recklessness has cost me? Now I've got to write 1,000-word self-criticism, and my job is probably on the line. I really don't understand what kind of enemy you made to bring all this on me. His superior hadn't told him the truth. He still didn't know that the child involved in today's incident was the commander's grandson. Since no one else had bothered to tell him, I didn't see any reason why I should either. I'm a teacher, I said flatly. Protecting my student is what I'm supposed to do. You're the one who left your post. Don't try to blame me for that. Hearing that, Ryan's face darkened. Lily was sick. She was suffering, and you weren't there for her. If I hadn't noticed something was wrong, she would have passed out from the pain. Do you even realize that? It was always like this. Every time my relationship with Ryan started to get better, Lily would suddenly come down with some mysterious illness. I didn't know whether Ryan was just oblivious or if he genuinely cared too much, but he never seemed to notice how strange it was. My wounds began to throb again, and I didn't want to argue anymore. I closed my eyes, hoping to get some rest, but Lily clearly had no intention of letting me off so easily. Sis, she said sweetly, why don't you go home now? It's hard for Ryan to keep running back and forth, and besides, your injuries aren't too serious. You can rest just as well at home. When I didn't respond, she pressed down hard on my leg, the one in a cast. Money doesn't come easy for him, you know. You shouldn't let him waste it here. Come on, be considerate. Don't make things harder for him. Even I, an outsider, can see how much he's struggling. As she spoke, she looked me up and down, then started packing my things without asking. Ryan didn't even spare me a glance. I stared coldly at the scene in front of me. Ryan, my leg is broken. I've got wounds all over my body. How am I supposed to go home now? Are you seriously going to let Lily keep acting like this? My firm words made Ryan avert his eyes in guilt, but only for a moment. She's right, he said shortly. You'll be fine at home. I'll go talk to the doctor and get your discharge papers. You just rest. Once you're home, Lily and I will take good care of you. Before I could stop him, he left the room without a second thought. This was the man I had loved for years. As long as it was Lily speaking, even if her words were completely unreasonable, he would obey without question. Now it was just me and Lily left in the room. She stared at me with a face full of malice, her eyes narrow and cold. Susan Taylor, she said through clenched teeth, why couldn't you have just died? 6 months ago, Lily had found a way to move into the house I shared with Ryan. She had become more and more aggressive since then, constantly stirring up trouble and driving a wedge between us. At first, Ryan had his doubts, but over time he grew to trust her completely and became increasingly impatient with me. Watching them now so openly affectionate, I had asked Ryan, don't you think your relationship with Lily is a bit too close? You two act more like husband and wife than cousins. His face had twisted in outrage. How dare you talk about your cousin like that? You've always been jealous of her, of how good she is at her job, how beautiful she is. Her parents treated you like their own, and this is how you repay them? With filthy thoughts about Lily? Don't ever say something like that again, or I swear I won't forgive you. I had apologized, sobbing until my face was soaked with tears, terrified that everyone would turn against me. But the truth was, none of them had ever genuinely cared about me. They were just waiting for the chance to trample me into the dirt. I decided to end my marriage with Ryan on my own terms and let him and Lily have each other. Ryan had already completed the discharge procedures for me. He was just about to lift me up when Lily interrupted him, saying she felt dizzy. Without hesitation, he scooped her up into his arms and rushed out, full of concern. As he walked, he kept turning back to urge me to hurry up, dragging my broken legs across the floor. I bit my lip hard to suppress any sound and limped all the way to the car. I opened the back door and dropped into the seat exhausted. "Are you still hurting? Maybe I should call a doctor to check you out," Lily said sweetly. Ryan, clearly uneasy, furrowed his brows but said nothing. As soon as we arrived home, he carried Lily straight into our bedroom. Only when he saw me struggling in behind them, limping heavily, did he glance awkwardly off into the distance. "Cousin, don't misunderstand," Lily said in her usual delicate tone. "I just feel really unwell. Could you make me some porridge? If you're tired, feel free to sleep in my room." Meanwhile, Ryan had already gone out to find a doctor, as if afraid something might happen to someone who wasn't even sick. I said nothing. I walked past them straight to the nightstand, knelt down, and reached for the small jade pendant my mother had left me. If it weren't for that piece of her love, I wouldn't have come back here at all. But the black box was empty, the jade was gone. "Lily," I said, staring at her with a cold, hollow gaze. "Where's my pendant?" Even my tone had hardened, stripped of patience. Lily still pretended to be clueless. "I don't know what you're talking about. If you can't keep track of your own things, that's not my fault. What do you think, I'm your servant?" Tears slid silently down my face. My eyes were bloodshot, my voice trembling. The hopelessness inside me was crushing. I stared at her as I walked closer, step by step. "Give it back. That was my mother's. I don't care which one of you took it, but it must be returned." Lily shot up from the bed, eyes filled with rage. She stood in front of me, arrogant and unrepentant. "So what if I took it? I already tossed it into the river. You'll never see it again, not in this life or the next." In that instant, my strength crumbled. All the humiliation I had endured surged at once. My nose stung and hot tears streamed down my cheeks. Seeing me like this only made her more smug. She raised the empty wooden box and slammed it into my head. Warm blood soaked into my clothes as she kicked my already injured body over and over. When she heard Ryan's footsteps approaching, she pretended to fall to the ground with a cry. The door flew open. Ryan walked in to find Lily clutching her face, crying pitifully. Without even asking a thing, he rushed to her, cradled her in his arms, and then turned to shove me violently to the floor. The impact made my skin sting with sharp, numbing pain. My wounds tore open again, and warm blood seeped from my arms and legs. "Ryan," I said quietly but clearly, "let's get a divorce." Lily rolled her eyes and let out a cold snort. "Fine, you want a divorce? Then hand over every paycheck Ryan's ever earned for the past few years and pay for the emotional damages too. Everything in this house was bought by him. If you want to leave, you're not taking a single cent." As she spoke, she stepped on my hand and ground her heel down. My flesh twisted under the pressure, and I trembled uncontrollably from the pain. Just when I thought I wouldn't make it through the night, voices erupted from outside. I forced my heavy eyelids open and saw General Carter storming into the house, his face livid with rage. Behind him was Ryan's direct superior. "You two are really something," the general snapped. "Get your damn hands off her." Ryan's eyes went wide the moment he saw the general. His face went pale. "Sir, what are you doing here?" "I took the day off," he stammered, his voice shrinking with every word. General Carter's eyes locked onto my bloodied body, and he rushed over to lift me up, his face filled with concern. "Ryan did this, didn't he?" he asked, his voice sharp. "I want to see what gives him the right to lay a hand on you like that." Lily stood up from the floor, wincing, and glared at the general with annoyance. "So you're the guy my cousin brought here?" Lily sneered. "Do you even know that Ryan is a company commander? No matter who you are, you should show him some respect. Who are you to criticize him?" General Carter's expression had turned so dark it looked like a storm cloud ready to burst. "Ryan," he said, voice sharp and cold, "you abandoned your post. If it weren't for Susan, you'd be dead right now. And you still dared to lay a hand on her. This woman saved my grandson's life. And this is how you and your little mistress treat her." He let out a low snort full of fury, but Lily, completely unaware of the gravity of the situation, kept spewing nonsense. "You some random guy off the street? You think you can boss my Ryan around? Are you tired of living? Or are you saying my cousin's sleeping around and brought her new man home? She was just talking about divorce a minute ago." Ryan turned to me with a look of stunned disbelief, as if he just realized I was the kind of woman Lily was describing. "Susan," he said, voice laced with hurt. "You're involved with someone else? After everything I've done for you, how could you do this to me?" His righteous indignation was laughable. I couldn't stop the cold smile from curling at the corners of my mouth. He'd been obsessed with Lily for who knows how long, and now he had the audacity to accuse me. Absolutely pathetic. General Carter's eyes turned icy, his tone like a blade. "Do any of you even know what you're saying? Strip him of his rank. Having a parasite like this in the army is a disgrace." Ryan's commanding officer stood to the side, nervously wiping sweat from his brow. "Yes, sir," he stammered. Even now, Lily refused to believe it. She glared at me, then scoffed with a mocking smile. "Wow, you really went all in with this act. But honestly, cousin, your taste is awful. You went for someone that old. He's practically the same age as Grandpa. He probably reeks of old man, and judging by his clothes, he doesn't have any money either." She stepped back, pinching her nose like she was disgusted. "You must have spent all of Ryan's money on him, huh? No wonder we're broke." Her contemptuous eyes drifted toward General Carter. He chuckled coldly and began clapping, slow and sarcastic. "Bravo, really bravo. And to think I need to prove who I am to someone like..." He turned to the room. "Can someone hear anyone? Please do me the favor of telling her who I actually am." He didn't wait for a reply. "You think I haven't done my job as a leader? Fine, I'll go home and throw Ryan out myself." The general walked straight over to Ryan and grabbed his officer's badge. "Ryan," he barked. "This woman, your wife, saved my grandson. You're fired." The moment the truth was laid bare, Ryan froze in place, dazed and disoriented, like the ground had just dropped out beneath him. His knees wobbled as he tried to stay standing. "No, no, sir, please. I was just joking with my wife. I didn't hit her, I swear." His face had gone ghostly pale. He tried to take a step toward General Carter, but the guard stopped him in his tracks. Lily rushed to hold him up, her expression visibly shaken. "Ryan, he's really the general. How can this be? Susan saved his grandson." The confirmation hit her like a slap. She collapsed onto the floor, stunned, her eyes locked on me in disbelief and frustration. Ryan, no longer able to defend himself, turned back toward me. He tried to take my hand, but I stepped back, avoiding his touch. "Please, Susan, just say a few good words for me. We're married. You can't just stand there and let this happen to me." Seeing him beg like that, clutching so tightly to his pride, I let out a bitter, mocking smile. "Ryan," I said calmly and clearly, "let's get divorced. You've always liked Lily the most, haven't you? Then I'll step aside. I'll let you have each other." Lily lowered her head, a smug little smile curling on her lips. But Ryan panicked. He reached out and grabbed my hand desperately. "No, Susan, I haven't. You're my wife. She's just your cousin. I only took care of her because of you," Ryan said, tears brimming in his eyes as he looked at me with supposed affection. But after living through this life twice, I knew better now. Ryan was a master actor, and even now he was pretending as if he couldn't live without me. I didn't want to waste another word on him. I just wanted to get that divorce certificate and end everything between us once and for all. When the guards helped me into the car, Ryan was still shakily trailing behind. He reached out as if he wanted to touch me but hesitated, realizing he no longer had the right. All he could do was watch blankly as I was taken away. General Carter personally brought me to the hospital. The doctors hurried to stitch up my wounds and clean them thoroughly before finally moving me into a patient room. Afraid that Ryan might try to forcefully take me again, the general stationed 2 guards outside my door to ensure my safety. Meals were delivered 3 times a day, right on schedule. After everything that had happened, I was completely drained. I fell into a restless sleep almost immediately. When I woke again, I saw little Ethan asleep with his head resting on the edge of my bed. Took me a moment to focus. In my past life, I had been pregnant with a gentle, considerate baby boy. He had never caused me much morning sickness or discomfort, and his kicks were soft and quiet. Sadly, he never got to open his eyes and see the world before his life was snuffed out. A wave of grief swept through me as I stared at Ethan. Quietly, I reached for the blanket to pull it over him, but the motion stirred him awake. "Miss Taylor, you're finally awake," he said quickly, rubbing his eyes. "Do you want some soup? I brought some for you." Before I could respond, he had already opened the insulated box and carefully scooped the soup into a bowl, handing it to me with both hands. The sight brought back a memory, his first day transferring into my class. His caretaker had pulled me aside, pleading with me to be patient with him. "He lost his mom young," she had explained. "He's quiet and stubborn, and he doesn't like to talk much." But in the past few days I had come to know the real Ethan, a sweet, thoughtful child. After I finished eating, he picked up a book and told me he wanted to read me a story. "Miss Taylor," he said softly, "can I lean against you while I read?" His eyes sparkled, nervous and hopeful, clearly afraid I might say no. My heart softened. I opened my arms. In the quiet hospital room, his small voice filled the space. He read aloud, glancing between the pages in my face, smiling the whole time. Eventually, he drifted off to sleep again, nestled against me. Just then, the door creaked open, and a tall, unfamiliar man stepped inside. He walked over and stared directly at Ethan. A sudden wave of panic surged through me. I immediately pulled Ethan into my arms and shielded him, my gaze sharp. "Who are you?" I asked, wary. The man gave a slight nod. "Ethan told me what happened. Thank you for risking your life to save him. I'm his father, Ben Carter." Hearing that, I finally relaxed. My grip loosened, though the adrenaline still lingered. We looked at each other in silence for a moment, neither of us knowing what to say next. Then loud shouting erupted from outside the room. Even without seeing his face, I recognized that voice instantly. "Ryan." He wasn't allowed in, but his yelling filled the hallway, getting louder and more desperate by the second. "Susan, come out. I know I was wrong. Please come home with me. I promise I'll treat you better this time. These people won't let me in. Susan, do you really not want me anymore? Just let me see you once. If you don't, I'll wait here forever." My brow furrowed. I was just about to get out of bed when Ben reached out and gently grabbed my wrist. "Let me handle this," he said, his voice low but firm. "You need to rest." Something about his strong features and calm presence made me feel at ease. The shouting continued outside, angry and disruptive, but no one came in. Then Ben strode to the door and stepped outside. I didn't hear what he said, but when he came back, the hallway was completely silent. In the days that followed, without Ryan's constant interruptions, my time in the hospital became peaceful for the first time. Every evening after school, Ethan would come visit me. He always brought something with him, books, little handmade toys, even snacks he thought I'd like. The only thing that unsettled me was Ben Carter. Every day he was there, too calm, serious, watching over us quietly. Every time I looked at his composed, stern face, I never knew quite what to say. "Miss Taylor, look. I made a red dragonfly. It's for you." Ethan cupped the paper dragonfly carefully in his hands and held it out to me. But just as he approached, he stumbled, and the delicate creation fell to the ground. Its wings and stick frame snapped on impact. I quickly crouched down to pick it up. "I didn't mean to," he said, crestfallen. "I'll fix it, I promise." His small face was filled with disappointment, and I felt a pang of guilt. I didn't know what to say. Just then, Ben Carter quietly stepped up behind me. With long, deft fingers, he took the broken toy from me and pieced it back together with ease. "There," he said softly, placing the restored dragonfly in my hand. Ethan's big eyes lit up with awe. Then he blinked and blurted out, "Miss Taylor, isn't it cold today? Why is your face so red?" I didn't need a mirror. I could already feel how warm my ears had gotten. "Stop saying nonsense. Did you finish your homework before napping?" Ben said, scooping Ethan into his arms and planting a light kiss on his cheek. His eyes were full of tenderness, the room filled with the sound of their laughter and chatter. But instead of feeling chaotic, it brought a sense of warmth and peace. The next morning, after the doctor's rounds, I was told I could be discharged. My wounds had mostly healed, and I just needed rest at home. I nodded in agreement. Ben helped me pack and took care of the discharge paperwork. Holding my report, he asked, "Would you like to come stay with us at the Carter house?" "Don't get me wrong," he added quickly. "I just meant after what happened, and since Ethan was involved, it might be safer." I declined right away. "It's in the past. There's no need to bring it up again." After saying goodbye to him, I wheeled my luggage to the hospital entrance and flagged down a 3-wheeled cart to take me back to my childhood home. My parents' old house filled with their love. Ryan had once suggested selling it since no one lived there anymore, but I refused. Looking back, that might have been the smartest decision I ever made. The house had been unoccupied for so long that everything was coated in a layer of dust. I spent the entire day cleaning and tidying up. As soon as I finished cooking dinner, I heard footsteps outside. "Who's there?" My voice trembled slightly as the cold wind blew through the cracks in the door. Nervous, I got up, grabbed a stick and cautiously approached. Just as the door creaked open and I swung the stick down, someone caught it firmly in their grasp. It was Ben. "You scared me half to death. Why didn't you say something?" My heart pounded wildly in my chest. I placed a hand over it, trying to calm myself. Ben noticed my shaken expression and the genuine fear on my face. He said nothing at first, just handed me a box of mung bean pastries, eyes filled with concern and a bit of awkwardness. "I just thought you might be uncomfortable living here alone, so I came to check on you." I peeked behind him. He chuckled and said, "Ethan wanted to come too, but I told him he needed to finish his homework first." He held out the pastries again. "I just made them. Try one, they should still be warm." I opened the package, took a piece, and tasted it under his watchful gaze. "It's really good," I said sincerely. Then he glanced at the table and pointed at the bowl of noodles I had made for dinner. His expression puzzled. "Is this what you were planning to eat?" The bowl held a mess of overcooked noodles in dark, watery broth. It looked barely edible. I was too embarrassed to speak. Even nodding felt like a defeat. Ben let out a soft laugh, dumped the noodles into the trash, and in no time had whipped up a new meal. Fried an egg, cooked a fresh bowl of plain noodles, and added some simple seasoning. The aroma, the color, the texture. Everything was perfect. I stared at him with admiration. "You're amazing. I didn't expect you to be so good at cooking too." The compliment made him beam with quiet pride. After I finished eating, he rolled up his sleeves, washed all the dishes, and put everything neatly back in place. Then he coughed softly, waved goodbye, and headed for the door. "Wait," I called out, rushing into my room. I came back with a hand-knit scarf I had just finished. I wrapped it gently around his neck. "It's new, I just made it. I was worried you'd think someone else gave it to you," I explained quickly. That night, I stood at the door and watched his figure fade into the darkness until he disappeared. For the first time in what felt like forever, I slept deeply and peacefully. I was woken the next morning by noise outside the window. Still dazed, I looked up and was stunned to see Ryan unkempt, his face hollow, eyes sunken, and beard grown out. He looked worn down, like life had chewed him up and spit him out. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up. "Susan, you're finally awake. I didn't want to disturb your sleep, so I didn't knock. Are you hungry? Do you want breakfast? I made you porridge and bought some pancakes." He gave me a hopeful look as he quickly set the food into my hands, eager to please. I said nothing, only watched as he rubbed his hands nervously, standing there like he didn't know what to do with himself. Once I finished dealing with the things in my hands, I looked at him and said, "Ryan, there's no need for this. We already agreed to get divorced. It's over between us." My bluntness seemed to shock him. His eyes widened. "I didn't do anything wrong," he said quickly. I only treated her well because she's your cousin. That's all, I swear. I know I messed up, but please forgive me. Come back with me. Didn't you say you wanted a child? Let's start trying as soon as we get home." As he spoke, he stepped forward and tried to grab my hand. I had mentioned so many times during our marriage that I wanted a child. Boy or girl, it didn't matter as long as it was ours. I'd raise them with love and care. But he went from brushing me off to showing complete coldness. "Do you even know having a child isn't that simple?" He once snapped. "I'm working at the station. How can I afford to be distracted?" Back then, I looked at him with unwavering belief. If you're busy, I can handle it. I promise I won't disturb you. But he'd only cut me off, irritated enough to say, we'll talk about this later. Now, hearing him bring it up again, I pushed him away. My voice turned colder. Ryan, I have nothing left to say to you. Let's go get the divorce today since you're not working anymore. You're free. Panic washed over him. Susan, please don't do this. I'll do whatever you say, anything, just don't leave me. I laughed bitterly. You really think I didn't see what's going on between you and Lily? Stop lying to yourself. We're getting divorced. Let's end this on decent terms. At that, his face went ashen, the light in his eyes dimmed, and he looked completely defeated. Even if I admit I was wrong, that's still not enough for you. I didn't flinch. Pick a day, today or tomorrow. Let's end this quickly. Whatever happens between you and Lily after that is none of my business. With that, I turned and walked away without looking back. I went straight to my bedroom and lay down on the bed. A few moments later, I finally heard Ryan's low voice outside the door. Okay, Susan, let's go now. When we went to grab our IDs, we ran into Lily and my aunt. My aunt stormed up to me, jabbing her finger at my nose. Susan, you go file for that divorce right now. Lily's pregnant. That baby is Ryan's. You have to give him up. Lily blushed shyly, her eyes brimming with sweetness as she turned to Ryan. Ryan, you're going to be a dad. It's our baby. Ryan's face turned completely pale as he looked at me. Susan, it's not what you think. It was just, I was drunk. It was a mistake. He tried to explain himself, stumbling over his words, but I stayed silent and indifferent. My aunt didn't buy it for a second. She rolled her eyes and scoffed at me, her voice sharp and condescending. Don't even try to pull anything now. It's useless. He was never going to be yours, and from now on Lily runs this house. You should have known your place a long time ago. Do you even know how much money I spent raising you, and how many grievances Lily had to endure because of you? She jabbed a finger toward the door. This isn't up for debate. We're going to the registry right now to get them married. Her arrogant, triumphant gaze burned into me. My aunt twisted the truth boldly, claiming that I had bullied Lily, even though I had never done such a thing. In her mouth, it became an absolute fact. What a good daughter you've raised, I said sarcastically. Poor Lily, bullied by me since we were kids, and you, her mother? What kind of parenting is that? As Ryan stood there completely dumbfounded, I added, also, you got one thing wrong. I'm the one who wants the divorce. It's entirely my decision. My cold smile finally set. My aunt's rage made her curse under her breath and raise her hand, aiming to slap me across the face, but I caught her wrist midair and pushed her away. Don't try the same tricks you used on me when I was a child. They won't work anymore. The fierceness in my eyes made her falter, scared of strength yet fearless against weakness. She quickly shut her mouth and mumbled to herself in a low voice. When we arrived to file for the divorce, the staff at the civil office all looked up in surprise at the commotion our group made. But what really shocked them was that right after Ryan and I finalized our divorce, he and Lily went straight to apply for a marriage license. You're getting married now? The clerk asked, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. The volume of her voice drew a crowd. People pointed and whispered among themselves. I've lived a long time, but I've never seen anything like this. Divorced one second, marrying someone else the next. They were obviously together all along. What kind of woman has no shame like this? Doesn't her mother teach her anything? If my daughter did this, I'd beat her to death. She's an embarrassment to womanhood. Each word was like a slap to Lily's face. Her head sank lower and lower in shame. My aunt immediately pulled her into her arms and glared hatefully at the crowd. Shut your mouths. This isn't any of your business. If anything happens to my daughter, I'll make sure you all regret it. Her face twisted with malice and disdain as she snapped at them, rolling her eyes wildly. The surrounding people, clearly not wanting to get cursed for free, quickly scattered. Just then, a group of Ryan's former comrades stepped forward and addressed Lily directly. Lily Jiang, you need to come with us. According to the human trafficker's testimony, you were involved in multiple kidnapping cases. Lily's whole body trembled. Her hands clenched her clothes so tightly her knuckles turned white, and her face twitched uncontrollably. I didn't do anything. she stammered, her voice choked by fear. Ryan, please help me. I swear I didn't do it. Mom, help me. I don't want to go to jail. When she turned to look at me, her gaze was filled with venom. If the soldiers hadn't been holding her back, I had no doubt she would have lunged at me. Someone help me, she cried, her voice breaking. It was Susan. She framed me. She's jealous. She made all this up to get back at me. Ryan stood there, hesitant, watching her struggle and plead, but no one stepped in. Eventually, she was escorted away by officers on either side of her. My aunt followed, crying hysterically, sobbing as she clung to them. In the end, she too was taken away for obstructing official duty. The sudden chaos left me silent. In my previous life, Lily had died unexpectedly, so none of this had ever happened. But now everything made sense. The fancy clothes, the high-end leather shoes she always wore despite not having a job. With the divorce papers finally in my hand, I turned to leave. This was no longer my concern. A few steps out, Ryan stopped me. His voice was low. I didn't know. I didn't know she'd done all that. Maybe he really didn't. Maybe his cluelessness was genuine, or maybe it was all an act and he had known everything, even helped cover it up. But none of it mattered anymore. When I got home, the kitchen chimney was already puffing gray smoke. My footsteps quickened instinctively. Just as I reached the doorway, Ethan's small figure ran into my arms. Miss Taylor, you're finally back. Dad and I waited so long for you. Ben Carter stood at the stove, his face tinged with a warm flush. He was holding a spatula, still pretending to stir in the iron wok. A mischievous urge rose in me. I walked slowly over to him, teasing, Captain Carter, wow, are you stir-frying air now? I see nothing in the wok, I said with a smirk. Did you forget you already brought all the food to the table? Ethan ran over, giggling as he grabbed my hand and covered his mouth to muffle his laughter. The three of us sat down and ate together. The room filled with warmth and laughter. We shared stories, some lighthearted, some unexpectedly moving. For the first time in a long while, it felt like a real home. After dinner, Ethan and I played hopscotch outside, drawing lines on the ground and hopping between squares while our laughter echoed into the dusk. Ben quietly took it upon himself to handle all the housework inside. When I sat down to rest, he came out with a glass of warm water and handed it to me. Susan, he said gently, have you thought about being with me? I promise I'll treat you well. These past few days, I think you've probably seen it for yourself. I like you. His heart was pounding so loudly I could almost hear it. He was nervous, stammering slightly, his voice trembling despite his calm expression. Just as he was starting to look discouraged, his shoulders slumping a little, I reached out and took his hand in mine. Yes, from a short distance away, Ethan came bouncing over, skipping and cheering, completely unaware of what had just happened. But his joy made the moment feel even more right. Months passed, and the seasons shifted from the golden hues of fall into the quiet chill of winter. Life at home with Ethan and Ben became peaceful, simple, but full of warmth. Each morning, Ben would rise early to prepare breakfast while Ethan packed his school bag. I, once broken by betrayal and loss, had slowly begun to heal in the comfort of this new life, this new family we had formed. As for Lily, the truth about her crimes unraveled quickly. With solid evidence from the trafficking ring and several victims identifying her, she was sentenced to 12 years in prison. The trial was public, ugly, humiliating. Her once fierce confidence collapsed under the weight of her own lies. In court, she pleaded for leniency, blaming everything on her upbringing, on Ryan, on me. But the judge remained unmoved. Justice, after all, doesn't bend for crocodile tears. Ryan lost everything, his position, his reputation, and eventually his freedom. When further investigations tied him to knowingly harboring and helping Lily evade accountability, he was charged as an accessory. Though he received a lighter sentence of 3 years with probation, it was enough to destroy the pride he once wore like armor. He tried to write to me apologies, explanations, promises. I never responded. One afternoon, while organizing an old drawer, I found the divorce certificate. I held it in my hands for a long time, silent and reflective, then tucked it away, not out of sorrow but closure. That night, as I stood beneath the stars watching Ethan and Ben chase each other through the yard with a flashlight, laughter echoing in the dark, I realized something. Some stories end in pain so that better ones can begin, and mine finally had.